I beat my driving test before I've actually passed the theory test.
No. So that's the way you have to pass your theory and get your theory certificate number to book a practical driving test. So you cannot book a practical driving test unless you've passed your theory.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I boot my practical test without my instructor's say so?
Yes, you can. Yeah, but I wouldn't advise it. Yeah. I've had learners in the past just surprise me saying, "Oh, I've got a test for 2 weeks," and I'm like, "I'm not available then."
Yeah.
So unless they find a different instructor, so you've got to make sure firstly you've agreed with your instructor. Yeah. What I normally do is, like when I feel someone's getting ready for a driving test, yeah, even before this situation, it's like you couldn't get driving tests where I do the driving test, like pretty quickly. So it was about 6 or 7 weeks. If I see the learner progressing and they're taking the lessons regularly, we'd book it in advance. But like we'd agree that as long as you're going to stick to your lessons, and in 6-7 weeks time, let's get your test booked. But you don't want to book it. I wouldn't recommend you guys booking it without notifying your instructor, because if it's not available, or even if the instructor feels you're not ready, if I feel someone's not ready, I wouldn't take them on a driving test. So yeah, you can do it, but I wouldn't advise it.
So can I take my test in my own car?
Yes, you can take your test in your own car, family member's car, as long as you're insured. Yeah, so you've got to make sure you've taken out special insurance for that day. Yeah, and obviously the car is roadworthy.
Yeah.
So those are the two main factors.
Okay.
And if you're going to take your car in your test in your own car or a family member's car, just make sure you have an additional interior mirror for the examiner. Yeah?
Okay.
If you haven't got one, they do normally go back to the office and get it. But if you bought your own, you just a good impression that you're prepared for it.
Okay. Can I take a family member on the practical test with me?
Again, obviously during this time, no, because of COVID, they only want 2 people in the car. But normally, yeah, you're allowed to take, like, people can take the instructor or another person. You can have anyone to accompany you on the driving test. Yeah, so you can take a family member. I had one person, remember, they were husband and wife, and instead of me, the husband asked if he could go on his wife's test because he had his test the following week, so he could see what it's like. That was absolutely fine.
Oh, but it'd be quite nerve-wracking if your husband was in the back watching you.
Yeah.
So, on the driving test, what's the difference between the driver faults?
Okay, driver faults. So you have a normal driving fault, which a lot of people call a minor driving fault. I don't like mentioning, I try and avoid using the word minor where I can, because like you guys watching, when you say to them it's minor, you just think, oh, it's minor, it's nothing. It's still a driving fault. Yeah. Okay, so a driving fault is something that you do that hasn't caused anyone any danger. Yeah. And so it's a fault, but it's nothing serious. Yeah. So say for example, you've stalled the car, yeah, and you've reacted well, restarted it, kept control, moved off, no big issue. Yeah. But then if you make a serious fault, only one serious fault, yeah, that would fail you. So let's stick to stalling. So that scenario when I mentioned stalling, yeah, that was just a normal driving fault. But say if you stalled and you didn't react well, your car started to roll back, and then the examiner had to press the brake, yeah, then that same fault would be a serious fault, which would result in a fail. So serious faults, you're allowed 0. You get one serious fault, you fail, and the normal driving faults, you're allowed 15. If you get 16, it results in a fail. And with the normal driving faults, if you keep doing the same one again and again,
yeah,
the examiners can turn that into a serious fault as well. And again, with that, like some people think, oh, if you do the three normal faults again and again, yeah, it'll turn into a serious. Now I've had people do the same fault like 4 or 5 times, but still not turn into a serious fault because it didn't really cause any danger. Yeah, where sometimes people like have forgotten to check a blind spot and there was someone coming out of there, and that's turned into a serious fault. So yeah, that's the difference between the faults. And anybody who wants to like obviously look more into that, yeah, and get more knowledge on them, just watch the mock tests I put up. Yeah, because I talk through all the faults on that anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Plug. So how do I know when I'm on my driving test if I've failed the test?
Okay, the biggest clue that you know that you have definitely failed is if the examiner grabs the steering or uses the controls for you, like presses the pedals on that side, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, or basically if the examiner has to intervene, you've definitely failed, yeah? But again, a bit of advice I'd give you guys is, sometimes you'll be driving, I've had learners on test who were driving, they thought they'd made a serious mistake, yeah, because in there they thought they did something wrong, but it wasn't actually a serious fault at all. Yeah, it was just a normal driving fault, and then they've just given up and end up making actually making a serious fault.
Yeah.
So, as long as the examiner hasn't intervened, yeah, you've got hope. So don't think at any point that you failed. Yeah. So just continue driving. Yeah, because you'll be surprised with like some of the stuff that you think, oh, I messed up there, but it wasn't actually a fault. So just keep going. Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, if the examiner has gone for the pedals and come in, then yeah, sorry, you've messed up.
Sorry. Bye. Okay, so how is that, obviously in current COVID times, is that still the same in terms of if you've failed the test, does the test still carry on till the end, or?
I know they've changed it now, obviously, because they want to minimise the time in the car, yeah, okay, for obviously safety. So, whereas before, if you're on your test, yeah, you could make a fault right at the start within the first 5 minutes, but the examiners would carry on with the test, yeah, because you've paid the fee for the test,
yeah.
So they continue with the whole test, and when you get back to the test centre, then they'll let you know that you made this fault right at the start.
Yeah.
But whereas now, if you do make a fault 5, 10, 15 minutes into the test, yeah, they won't tell you there and then that, oh, you've made the fault. What they will do is they'll start redirecting you back to the test centre early.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And then when you park up at the test centre, then they'll notify you that you failed.
Okay.
Okay.
So if that's in within the first 10 minutes, it's a strong indicator that...
Yeah, so if you're back at the test centre within 15 minutes, it's not going to be good news.
Oh, man. If I fail my practical test, can I book another one straight away?
You normally have to wait about a day for them to log it into the system and that, yeah. But then when you do go online to book it again, you can book the date, yeah, but you won't be able to book a date. Yeah, that's within 10 working days. So you have to wait 10 working days. Yeah, so say if you failed your test today, tomorrow afternoon you could go into the system and look for a test date. But say if there's a test date for next week, following week, it won't allow you to book that. It's got to be 10 working days away.
Right.